When you create a D&D character, the first thing that you ask yourself is, what type of playstyle do I want? Do I want to be sneaky, a raging tank, or a charismatic silver tongue? And that's completely fine, it's a game after all. But there's one problem. What you're making isn't a character, but a stat block. A collection of abilities designed to do the things you want them to do. Good at stealth, good at combat, good at persuasion, but not necessarily a character. And that's why you make boring characters. You heard me? Because these games aren't just about combat or rolling dice, it's about choices. When at some point you were asked what would your character do and all you created is a stat block, then you won't have an answer. A character isn't defined by what they can do, it's defined by why they do it. First, we need to answer an important question. What actually makes a great character? Let's take Superman for example. One of the most, if not the most iconic character ever made. Is it because he's strong? No, there are plenty of characters stronger than Superman. Shut up, power scalers! Is it because he can fly or shoots laser out of his eyes? No, Superman is memorable because of what he chooses to be. Despite having the power to do almost anything, even obliterate humanity, he chooses to be kind, to believe in the good of others, to be a symbol of hope. Great characters aren't remembered for what they can do, they're remembered for who they are. I saw someone on Reddit describe it in one simple sentence: they must be people before they are characters. And I think that's exactly right. When we create a character, we're not just creating a set of abilities, we're creating a person, someone with a soul. So before we create a character, we need to answer a much more important question. What makes a person a person? The problem when you create a character is that you start with a personality. I want to be a sarcastic rogue. I want to be a noble paladin. I want to be a crazy barbarian. But that's doing it backwards. This personality should be the results and not a foundation. Think of it this way. Imagine someone who is terrified of losing the people they love. Those decisions shape their worldview, and that worldview shapes how they act, and eventually it becomes their personality. We don't start with personality, we arrive at personality. So where do we start? Where every great idea comes from. Inspiration can come from literally anywhere. It doesn't just have to be from an already established character. It could be from a song, a meme, or goddamn anything. And I mean anything. Take a random object for example, like a water bottle. The bottle itself is rigid and fixed, but the water inside can take any shape. With enough creativity, we could turn that into a character with an incredible potential, the water, but is held back by their own pride, the bottle. The point isn't to copy something, the point is to find an idea. With that in mind, let's start with the most simple, yet probably the most important question here. What does this person want? For me, I want him to aspire to be one of the greatest to ever live. To be the one that people centuries from his days will look up to. Someone who, when others see his statue, will say, there will be no one else like him. Next, what are they afraid of? Because desire without fear feels flat. I want him to be afraid of that. Which is ironic because for someone who wants to be remembered after his death, doesn't even want to die at all. My tip for you here is this. Make it at least the opposite of what your characters want. It's not required, but it's something to play with. But with fear comes weaknesses. So what flaws comes from all of this? I think since he desires to be remembered that much, I want him to be already in that headspace, to already be prideful. Since he badly wants to be the greatest of all, he should already act like he is the greatest of all, when in reality, he's just getting started. What do they do when they want something? For my character, they go all in no matter what. But only if it aligns with their own morals. Like, if he has to do something that will possibly damage the reputation he wants to build himself, he would never do it, no matter what costs. But what about their mindset? How did they solve a problem? For me, since he believes he's destined for greatness, why waste time doing things himself if someone else can do them? He'd rather command or persuade or maybe even manipulate others into solving problems for him. So with that, how do they see themselves? Are they a hero, the chosen one, or a failure? For my character, I want him to see himself as the chosen one. He thinks that he aspires to be the greatest more than anyone, so it must mean he aspires to it the most because he is the one who deserves it the most. Get it? Now we ask the question, how would other people describe them? I want him to be described as an arrogant but kind-hearted to the people close to him. He acts all high and mighty, but he knows that without the people around him, he will never be there in the first place. Now for everyone's favorite part, why are they like this? This is the backstory. Notice how late this comes? Why does he want what he wants? But before that, an important part of making a backstory is that it must still be in line with the level of the character you're making. You can't make a backstory of someone who slayed dragons for 300 years for a level 1 character. With that in mind, I want him to be someone who felt like he's a nobody in his whole entire life, including his childhood and teen years, like that background NPC. He's always outshined by everyone and everything, but when he turned 18, his powers awakened. Suddenly, he's the most powerful person in his class, but not just in his class, but also in his town, and now, he's the talk of that same town that ignored him. For years, it got to his head. He thought that he got this power because he is destined to be something or someone. So to be that person, being the most powerful in this town isn't enough. He needs the whole world to see it. He needs to explore and prove to everyone that the greatest has arrived. But we're not done yet. Who helped create this person? Who are the people in his world that made him this way? This could also be an extension of your backstory, but for my character, it would be the people around him. The way how he is just another guy in the background, how he is irrelevant to anything or anyone until he gets his powers. And then, he gets all the attention. And lastly, what do they look like? I imagine an average man with an average build around his mid-20s, but is shimmering with confidence, with an arrogant smile wherever he walks, always displaying a hint of power, maybe a magical light surrounding him or something, wears flashy clothes that slightly depicts a higher form of authority, like a royal maybe, and tries his best to sound sophisticated, but fails to do so. And now, we can finally see what class and race would naturally fit our character. Most people started here, but we didn't. We ended here. The class becomes a consequence of the character we made, and not the foundation. So for him, he sounds like a human sorcerer, like how humans are the most common species found in this world, and the only thing that makes him stand out is that he is a sorcerer. And there you have it, a human sorcerer who wants to become the greatest person who ever lived, yet is terrified of death itself. A man convinced he's destined for greatness, but unwilling to lose the one thing every legend eventually sacrifices: his own life. Also, here's a few tips when you're creating one. Don't be afraid to make your character shitty or imperfect. Remember, your adventure hasn't started yet. Don't put your entire character arc into your backstory. Make sure to leave room for growth. Coming from that, give your character a reason to leave home. Why would they risk their life? It doesn't matter if your character sounds cool, but if he has no reason to leave home, your character might not work in your campaign. 3. It doesn't matter if it's messy. The point of this is to have a starting point. After answering each and every question, you can deepen some parts here and there, change a few things, see if there's something you'd like to change. 4. Quirks aren't personality. If you say, my character loves cheese, my character sounds like a Reddit mod and says malady all the time, those are quirks. They might make your character memorable, but they don't tell me who they are. 5. This is your character. There's no right or wrong way to make one. And that's everything. We made something much better than a charismatic rogue who is good at talking and stealth. We made an actual person. But to be honest with you, there's no such thing as a perfect character. Only a great one. And only your mind can be the limit on how great your character can be. And also, one last tip, make sure the character you're making would be fun to play with, not just for you, but also for your group. It doesn't matter if your character is so realistic that he constantly betrays the party, refuses quests, or anything just to be realistic. You're just being annoying. Remember that this is still a game. So next time you sit down and create a character, don't start with class, don't start with the race or a personality, start with the person. Because if all you've created is a set of numbers on a character sheet, then you didn't make a character. You made a stat block.